But first, we're going to visit one of your gardens. It belongs to John Willshire in Sussex.
My name's John. I live in Linfield in West Sussex, and we moved here in 2016. So this was a new build house, and it was by and large a wildlife desert. Everything had been turfed. You know what it's like when you move into a new house. The first things that you do are sort the inside and so on. We didn't really do that much with the gardening. My friend Rob was involved in a project called My Nature Watch Camera, which is essentially build your own wildlife camera, which was great because with young kids, great thing to do, put it out in the garden. So we got this kit, we built it, put the camera together, put it outside. No birds, nothing. And I realised it's all like the whole estate was built the same way that our garden had been built. So everything was barren. There was no real places for the birds to travel over from different woods over there or parks over there. So I started thinking about, okay, so what you have to do to rewild a garden so that you can actually get birds. Birds want cover. So we looked at the borders and the, kind of like the walls and the pillars and so on, thought, how do we start introducing more cover for birds to hide in? Secondly, we didn't just want to continually be feeding birds bird food, we wanted them to sort of feed on other things. Insects, pond life, whatever else and so on. But we didn't have a pond, so we made a pond. Our first pond was using an old washing up basin. So once the frogs were there and once some other things were there, suddenly we started getting damselflies and dragonflies. But increasing that sort of little corner of diversity in the garden allows other things to work for the birds, with the birds. Thirdly, we started thinking about putting some bird boxes up. So out the front, just in amongst some Boston ivy, we have a bird box which we've had great tits in for the last 2 years. So I sit here in my office, often watching the garden and the birds, and how could house developers make this easier for people? It's taken us 7 years. So the first thing I think is only clear the land when you need it, when you're about to build on it. So, all out the front was just scraped away and nothing was done with it for about a year. The second thing is make boundaries between plots and areas permeable for nature. So we've got big brick walls sealing in, it's hermetically sealed our back garden. The third thing, just at a garden level, is not to turf everything. Don't just put grass from wall to wall, from fence to fence. Give people borders to start off with and then start giving them ideas about what to plant in them. So maybe that's the fourth thing. It's all things that I don't think are that hard, but actually could have a really big benefit for nature on estates like this and everyone who lives here.
John is absolutely right. It really wouldn't take much to create a garden on a new build that has the bones and the beginnings of something that is really good for wildlife and for gardeners. A border or two and some plants and you're away. But there's no question that the best thing of all is to have a pond. When we made this pond about 10 years ago, almost within days, you really noticed the difference. There were more insects. More insects meant more bats, more birds, mammals coming down to drink, birds bathing. The whole cycle of life was enlarged and enriched.